Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Black Girl Den Podcast, the segment where I call What I See on the Feed. Basically, where we talk about things that we see on social media, whether it's Instagram or TikTok. I have a lovely guest today that I would like to introduce, and then we can get into the segment. I'll let you introduce yourself if you would like to, or I can introduce yourself with you.
Sure. So my name is Shanita Danielle. I am a beauty, lifestyle, and fashion content creator. I live north of Atlanta, Georgia, where I've been since graduating from Spelman about 10 years ago. Whoa.
Cool.
Feels crazy to just say that. But I love to just have conversations for the girls about relationships, friendships. Wellness
Mhm.
has definitely become one of my pillars lately, and just about like really maximizing your true potential. I know that fear holds so many of us back. So my goal whenever I post a video online is to get women to like break out of that fear, to stop letting fear hold us back.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Well, this is your first time tuning in. My name is Alicia. I am the host of Black Girls Den podcast. We upload episodes every Wednesday. And recently I did an episode about friendships, kind of to like what you're saying. I graduated like almost 12 years ago. No, almost 12 years
Mhm.
ago. Almost 6 years ago. But I did an episode about friendship and like, the 10-year friendship that you meet friends from college and different things like that. And we were talking about like the changes, friendship breakups and like moving and relocating, like how friendships change and like navigating that. And then I
Mhm.
seen your video on TikTok about friendship, but you were also talking about cultivating sisterhood. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like that would be a great topic to talk about. Just like how you got to there, how you got to the sisterhood, because it is like a friendship epidemic around here. Okay,
Mhm.
people are losing friends from traveling, relationships, just like people not showing up for each other and different things like
Mhm.
that. And so I was just like, I think you'll be a great person to chat about this whole thing. And so yeah, that's kind of why I chose you. So thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to be a guest on your podcast, your award-winning podcast.
Yes. Okay. Period. Let's talk that out so I can become award winning. But the first thing I want to talk about, we could just kind of go from the beginning,
Mhm.
and then kind of lead into that. I wanted to ask you like where or how do you find friends?
So in this season of my life, I have been meeting women online. Like
Oh.
it has really been like, it could be like a shit. Like one friend I made, I saw my hairstylist at the time posted her, and I
Hmm.
followed her, started engaging with her content, and our friendship just we met at a coffee shop maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. Our friendship took off from then. Other women that I have met have been like through the sorority or just kind of like out and about. You see somebody and you're like, oh, she is fabulous. Like you say hi. It sounds a little nerve wracking, but you just say hi, and the conversation can take off from there. But in this season of my life, a lot of the friendships that I have met these women through online, Instagram,
Hmm.
conversations. One friend I hung up with yesterday, we met on Twitter. And
What?
yeah, we met on Twitter. She lived in Alabama. I lived in Georgia. And when
Hmm.
she finally moved to Atlanta, we were literally again a friendship that has grown into sisterhood.
That is so cool. Now you talk about like basically like shooting your shot in person. I don't know. I never really I mean I guess I've talked to people in person.
Mhm.
But it's like what do you even say to be like, oh hey, how do you be friends? Do you just be like, oh let me follow you on Instagram? Or do you be like, let me get your number?
Yeah, so I would say it would start from like something that we might have in common. Like we might be standing in line at TJ Maxx, or we
Hmm.
might be like at the same event, right? Especially as a creator,
Hmm.
if we're at the same event and we just a conversation, starts and we just start chopping it up. And then it's like, oh, let me follow you on Instagram. You know what? Let's just change numbers. And then maybe we could like schedule a coffee date or a lunch date in the future.
Hmm. Okay, that's what happens, and then it kind of grows from there as well.
The friendship grows from there, and not all of them develop into something as deeper sisterhood, and that's okay, right? But the friendship is still there, and I think that because primarily people use the internet for like posting things, or when it comes to meeting people online, people often think like romantic relationships, but I've had some really amazing like platonic friendships, sisterhood that have developed, that's platonic friendships that have developed into sisterhood from online.
Okay, yes. So I've been following you for a little bit. Well, actually, for a while. Actually, I've been following you for a while, and so I know that you're the only child.
Hmm.
I do remember that. And I'm the only girl. And I bring that up because I wanted to kind of ask this question. Speaking of like romantic relationships and with like importance of friendships, I
Hmm.
feel like sometimes as like, maybe the only child or like if you're like the only gender in your family, like you kind of crave like the friendships and relationships. And so I just kind of wanted to see if you could speak to that, the importance of that, because growing up, you might have didn't have siblings. So you're like, okay, I kind of crave this friendship, but I feel like sometimes that like people with siblings, or maybe if it's the same gender, like they don't really have that same need for that sisterhood or that
Hmm.
I guess relationship, because they already like they grew up with it and they already have that. Do you feel like, you like thought about that, or do you feel like you just kind of just go with it?
So, being an only child does affect the way I approach friendships. And I have worked through this in therapy for so long because I would try to make every friend turn into a sister. And I would
Mm,
try to make every friend the everything friend, not realizing that they all like everybody has their quirks and people will be people, but the friend that's like, hey, let's meet for, let's go to TJ Maxx, let's go to an estate sale. There's not the friend I'm probably going to invite to like a winery where, we might toss a couple of glasses back and kiki and
mhm,
haha. That's just a different type of friendship. But it
mhm.
definitely, being the only child does affect the way that I approach friendships, because for me, friendships fill that role of siblings. Right. And
Yeah.
so that's when the sisterhood gets introduced, because there's a level of loyalty and love that comes with a friendship once it's reached the sisterhood level.
Mhm.
Um, and it definitely does affect even like romantic relationships as well, because it's like I don't have that like big brother to help me like filter through some
Yeah.
of the romantic mess, right? I had
Mhm.
to figure that out literally on my own as I went through. For some people, they might have the big brothers, the cousins, or something like that, but I literally had to
Mhm.
figure that out. But one thing that I think that if you want to make friendships, that you have to fine tune is your sense of discernment, and
Mhm.
knowing that everybody is that wants to be your friend shouldn't be your friend. You ought to have standards in place, even for like romantic relationships. You ought to have standards in place to like protect yourself, protect your peace, protect your heart.
Mhm. I love that. Hey, Kiwan, she said, hey, thanks for joining us tonight. So you kind of alluded to it a little bit. I'm trying to keep the sister. We're gonna get the sister because I feel like that's gonna be the juiciest part. But you did talk about dating, and I know that you are engaged. So congratulations on that. I
Thank
wanted to
you.
how do you balance like being engaged and still like being friends, or like showing up for your friends? Like how do you balance that type of relationships with your friends?
Sure. So the way that I balance my relationship with my friendships is that I make sure to show up regardless, right? So this
Mhm.
means that if my friend is inviting me to her daughter's birthday party and she's giving me a date, I'm going to say, hey, this is the birthday party that we're going to. Or maybe, if he's not interested or he's busy, then I'm going to this birthday party. It's maybe more intentional with how I show up as well, because I know that I need my girls to carry me through. While like I feel like I'm marrying my best friend, but I know that I need my girls to carry me through. He doesn't clock the tea like the girls clock the tea. He's not gonna tell me
Period.
like your wig looks a little different. Or maybe that wig doesn't look the best on you. He's
Uh-huh.
he's just not. He just doesn't have that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's
You
knowing
know,
that
it
I need my.
looked good.
It looks good. I'm like, I'm over here looking like I've been through going through it. But I would say, to sum it up, like showing up, right?
Mhm,
Meaning that if it's late at night and we're winding down for the evening, or maybe we're having movie night and a friend is texting me, it's like, okay, is this something that she needs a response right away? Or is it something that, hey girl, we can chat it up in the morning while I'm doing my morning routine? That way I
mhm,
am giving my time specifically to her, and still honoring like what I'm building with my fiance. So giving
mhm,
everybody their time. So while I'm with my fiance, unless it's an emergency, or like if we're at a date night, my friends know, like, unless it's an emergency, you know what I'm saying? It can probably wait. Or if it's like, hey, like I really need like play good cop, bad cop with me, be the
Mhm.
good person or be the good angel on my shoulder. And I'm like, hey, nah, I don't think you should do that, but just being
Mhm.
responsive as well and being okay with showing up even if it's inconvenient. Because there have been times when showing up for a friend might also look like disappointing my fiance, but he understands that at the end of the day, I need my girls to carry me through.
I like that you said that because this other lady, my videos are not coming up, but this other lady was saying like having a village is inconvenience. And I feel like
Hmm.
now within friendship, it's just like I don't want to go to your birthday dinner. Like I don't want to go now. I understand if you don't have enough money. Like I don't want
Hmm.
to go to your birthday trip. Like I don't want to do this. Or I don't. And it's just like okay, but everybody's preaches and say they want a village and different things like that. But then the inconvenience of having a village, are like
Hmm.
maybe like you need somebody to help you go
Exactly.
your car fix or whatever. It's like people don't really want to do anything that's inconvenient. If it's inconvenient, they be like, it's messing with my peace. So I
Hmm.
just feel like
Hmm.
it's like it kind of like draws back and then like forth like, okay, well, do you really want friendship? Do you really want community? Or are you just saying it to sound good? And you just made like a good point about it. That's why I was like about the inconvenience. And so like I think
Hmm.
people need to understand that like when you have community, when you do these different things do inconvenience you, but also you might be inconveniencing your friend one time too during the day
Right.
night. Okay. So it's like,
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I had a friend that she was a few months postpartum, and she called me, like she texted me one night, and she had a really rough night. Her husband was out of town; it was just her and the
mm,
baby. The next morning, I woke up and I drove from Gwinnett County out to Paulding County, where she lived,
how far is
because it was important for me to be there for her and for that day. Maybe she needed some human interaction. Maybe
that?
she just needed a moment where she could set the baby down and know the baby was going to be safe, so she could take a long shower, so she could curl her hair, so she could prepare, a healthy meal for herself. And it was not convenient to drive from
Mm-hmm.
Buford out to Powder
That's
Springs,
what I'm
but
saying.
I
How
know
long
that
is
in
the
that
drive?
it was like an hour and a half.
Oh,
But I
okay.
know that in that moment, she needed me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so later on down the line, when I'm having a birthday party in Buford, she drove from Powder Springs,
Period.
So
Mm-hmm.
showing up is important, and it's an inconvenience, but when it's done from the heart, I feel like I'm preaching, and I don't want to preach,
Yeah.
but when it's done
No,
from the
you can
heart,
preach.
it's not going to feel like an inconvenience,
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be a part of the village, you have to open your heart to being a villager. Right. That
Mm-hmm.
means providing guidance for someone else's child. That might mean, oh, I saw this cute outfit that, such and such can put on for picture day. Or, hey, do you need a moment just to breathe? I've watched one of a friend I had a long time ago. We met at the mall and I occupied her kids' time at the playground while she went to go get her nails done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like that took maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours out of my day, but it allowed her to feel like herself. And the playground was noisy, and my house is generally quiet with some soft jazz in the background. And I gave that up for a few hours, right? But
Uh-huh.
I know that that meant a lot to her to have that time, because then we can't complain that people aren't showing up for us or our friends don't come around if we aren't willing to like show up for them or pour into them either.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really great. How did you learn that, or how did you get to that point? Like, because like that is definitely inconvenience. To drive an hour and a half, or even you ain't got no kids. You like, who child? I be like, kids is loud, child. I don't know. Like how did you get to that space and like being
Mhm.
like, okay, I need to show up for my friends.
Because I've seen the way that my mom's and my family's village has shown up for me.
Okay.
Like thinking back to like my high school, my senior prom, the day of my senior prom, my aunt got into a really bad motorcycle accident. We did not know she was going to make it. She ended up being in a coma for nearly a month. My high school boy, my prom date's family showed
Mm-hmm.
up at the house and helped me get dressed. All of my family was at the hospital, right? But my prom dates, family showed up to help me get dressed. And that really showed me what a true village meant. So it's been whew, like almost 20 years, and I'm sending them Christmas cards now, or they're on my email list. And just the way
Oh.
that, like, even when my uncle died, right? One of my mom's friends called me every hour to make sure that I got home safe, because they knew I was devastated. The way they showed up
Mm-hmm.
to say, to bring meals over, or the way that they even share and engage with my content, like, they're so supportive. Um, just shows me that, like, I grew up as a child of the village. I went to grandma's house. I went to great grandma's
Mm-hmm.
house. I would go to my aunt's house to play with my cousins, and my mom went out and she had fun. And I didn't grow up missing her necessarily because she was still there, but she also, relied on the village, and that's okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I do see that. A part of your video you were saying that definitely send condolences about your uncle and his
Thank you.
fiance, I believe. And
Yeah.
you were talking about that in your video. You were talking about how they were like showing up and like calling and stuff like that. And that was kind of true sisterhood. So now I guess we can kind of get into it. From the
Hmm.
village, you kind of was raised like that. And that's really cool to hear what you were saying about you seeing basically what a village is. Like you had the experience of a village. So now you know how to be a part of the village.
Hmm.
But some people don't have that experience as a
Hmm.
village. I may think like that could kind of be the disconnect because they're
Hmm.
also like, you hear a lot of people that are like, oh, my mom raised me like as a single mom, and they was like, it was just me and her and different things like that. Well, if your grandma or your uncle or your cousin or whoever, your daddy, like if they didn't show up for you, then they don't really know how to show up for people. So I
Hmm.
think like your experience kind of helped you show up, and I really do like that. That was really good. So I
Hmm.
wanted to ask you, what does sisterhood mean to you?
For me, sisterhood is loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say that it's shared values and commitment. Like if our goals align, my friends, my one of my close friends, well, one of my sisters, we always say that we are millionaires in the making. Just the amount of ideas that her and I discuss, we have declared that we are millionaires in the making, right? So her and I have that shared value of maximizing resource, putting in the work to get things done, knocking out those goals,
Mm-hmm.
holding each other accountable. Because sometimes, right, when it comes to friends, I feel like the surface level friendships, it's there's no accountability. You can't correct them, right? But I can go to my friend and say, "Hey, I didn't really like that you said this. I didn't really like that you did that," right? And she doesn't feel take offense to it because she knows I'm coming from a genuine place of wanting the friendship to thrive. Sisterhood, again, loyalty, accountability, shared goals,
Mm-hmm.
shared commitments. But also it goes past surface level. Can I share the doctor's note with you and you say more than, "Oh, that's good," right? If I ask you to pray for me, can you really send one up and hog
Mm-hmm.
up the prayer line for me like I would do for you? It's things like that. But also showing up when it matters. I had one friend, we met on Twitter, but we have never physically met one another, right? Till this day, we've never physically met one another. We exchange cards back and forth. We send good morning messages back and forth. When her father passed away, she called me first. Now, I had
Mm-hmm.
already dealt with my own grief, right? Because this was a few months later. But in that moment, I knew that my grief was not the topic of discussion. It was about showing up for her. Because had I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Hey, I can't deal with this right now," that would have been something that she always remembered how I treated her in her time of need.
Yeah.
So it's just
The
about
first
showing up.
call.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like that. Oh, I might have to have you come back on again because you were talking about Christian dating. The dating scene as Christian girlies. It's a whole nother conversation. But I wanted to ask you. So you were saying about sisterhood. So I was kind of trying to figure out, what do you think the difference is between friendship and
Mm-hmm.
sisterhood, and like how can someone become a friend to it, like go from a friend to a sister?
Sure. So sometimes friendships are seasonal. It
Mm,
might be like we're friends because we work together. We're friends because we're in this class together. We're friends because
yeah.
of our proximity, right? But if I were to
Mhm.
stop working at this job or one of us moved away and the friendship just faded, right? But if one of us stops working at this job and we no longer have that proximity, but we're still intentional about FaceTiming, communicating, meeting up halfway, right? I think that's when the sisterhood would come into play. I believe that another huge difference between friendship and sisterhood is the way that we value the relationship. They're both relationships, right? But it's the way that we
Mhm.
value relationships. So again, goes back to that level of correction. You correct a friend and they're like, "Oh no, I know that good and well this person didn't just tell me this about myself. You know what?
Mhm.
I'm cutting off this person. I'm not gonna cut off my sister. Unless it's
Mhm.
something that is absolutely devastating, but I'm not gonna lose those years of loyalty and connection off of her correction because I trust that if she's my sister, her correction is coming from a good place."
Okay, I like that. That you were saying like friendships are basically kind of like a season. I really hate that. I hate that friendship are a season. I feel like friendship should be forever, but hey,
Hmm.
I do understand the proximity. If you were talking about like the coworkers stuff like that. So That's very interesting to hear that. And like sisterhood is kind of forever. I also did another podcast episode about this with my friends, and I was just like, I feel like it's hard when you talk about that accountability piece with friendships. I'm just like,
Hmm.
but every friend doesn't want to be held accountable. So it's kind of
Hmm.
like, how do you hold your friends accountable if they don't want to be held accountable? Like, I'm just like, I wouldn't, like, me personally, I don't really try to hold my friends accountable because I'm like, everybody didn't ask for that, you know? So
Hmm.
is there like a conversation that you have with your sisters when you're like, well, we're gonna be, part of the sisterhood, like I'm hold you accountable, or is it kind of like you just talk about it in love? Like, how do you approach that holding your like sisters accountable?
Sure. So I think it first has to again come from a good place, right?
Yes.
Tone matters, what we say matters, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my wellness era, right?
Yes.
I'm in my
Okay, wellness
wellness
era.
era. So my focus lately has been on my mental health, my especially
Mm-hmm.
my physical health, right? So if my friend is like my sister, if I tell her, yo, girl, I just made some barbecue ribs and some macaroni and cheese and some mashed potatoes. And she's like, wait a minute, that sounds like a lot of carbs for somebody that's trying to lose weight. That sounds like a lot
Mm-hmm.
of carbs that for somebody that's trying to focus on their health, right? And she could also say, where were the vegetables? You didn't cook any vegetables? So that's a little surface level, but that could be what accountability
Mm-hmm.
might look like, right? Because again, those shared values, those shared goals. And so if she's focusing on her health and fitness and she's in the gym, that should
Mm-hmm.
motivate me. As
Yes.
her friend to see her in that gym every day, I'm like, you know what, let me get in that gym every day.
Yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where that level of accountability comes in, right? But also accountability with grace. Because I do
Yeah.
think that we ought to give each other grace because we're dealing with things that none of us could ever imagine. Like one of my
Mm-hmm.
sisters, she is a long distance caregiver, right,
Mm-hmm.
for two family members. So I know that when she is home with them, we're not going to have those 2 hour conversations. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a touch and go. How are they doing? What did the doctor say? Are y'all okay? Where y'all going to today? It's not going to be those hour long conversations, and I'm not offended by that either. Right. The same way how when I go home and I'm around my family, where our conversations aren't going to be as long. I'm probably going to talk to her the whole way there, the whole way back to recap.
Mm-hmm.
But understanding that every day won't be the same, every conversation won't be the same. But when it comes to that accountability, it's just saying, hey, you talked about this goal, but how are you really working towards it, right? Because um, oh my gosh, there's a scripture that it's like iron sharpens iron,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? And so if I'm your friend, if I'm your sister, and you say, "Hey, girl, I really want this promotion," I'm gonna say, "Hey, have you looked at any conferences that you could
Mm-hmm.
attend to brush up on those skills? Have you joined any, resource groups at work? Have you talked to your manager about it? Have you talked to anybody that's already in that role? Have you fine tuned your resume? Have you? And if you say no, like you haven't done anything about it besides tell me." I
Mm-hmm.
can't give you the promotion. You have to put the work in.
Like,
Like we can't do the work for other people. And I think that's where friendship comes in because I don't want to be friends with people who are not willing to put in the work for what they really want out of life. Like
mm-hmm.
I understand that like some seasons are a little different. 2 years ago, let me see, this is what August, September 2025. So September
Mm-hmm.
2023, I was on a high. Life was good. I had a great job. I was
Mm-hmm.
probably planning on, I probably just got back from being out of the country or something compared to now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not planning an out of the country trip, right? Um, if I were, my sister would say, "Hey, remember those financial goals we talked about? How are those goals going?" Right? Because Aruba will always be there.
Yeah.
But if you want Amex off your back, you ought to think a little wisely about planning that trip to Aruba.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. So, but basically, it sounds like you have to have shared goals, but you also have to be able to talk about that and like be
Hmm.
vulnerable and stuff like that within that because we can't even hold you accountable if you're talking about like, yeah, girl, I'm trying to lose weight, but it's like, well, if you ain't telling me, then I can't hold you accountable. So
Hmm.
I can
Hmm.
kind of see how that goes. It's like, okay, like, girl, you said you was gonna go to the gym today, and you didn't go to the gym. Now I'm good for that one. Not really. I try not to be, but life get busy and stuff like that. So providing that grace too with it as well. I feel
Hmm.
like that's kind of like a hard thing too. To decide on like what you do or what to say because people can get offended by different things, but I do like how you said it, just like, okay, give grace but ask in love and still try to like navigate. It's like, okay, girl, like we have these type of goals, so let's kind of
Hmm.
navigate it and let's do it. What's best for us and showing up for yourself too. Because my friends were trying to shade on me, but I feel you too. Like, they were like, "Oh, I want a new job," but I'm like, and I be sending you jobs or whatever, and they be like, "Girl," I'm like, "Well, you said you want a job. Like, I can't apply for a job for you. I can send you jobs all
Right.
day long." That's all I got. That's how I feel like I show my
Hmm.
support. I can send you some jobs. I can't do it for you. So I
Right.
don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. On the thumbnail, I did post a couple of shows. So I wanted to ask you, did you have a favorite show that kind of showed you your like what friendship looked like growing up or anything like or a movie or something?
So I would definitely say Living Single.
Okay.
I love that show. I could watch it on repeat every day, all day. But also the Steve Harvey show, right? The
Mm-hmm.
relationship between Principal Regina and
Mm-hmm.
Lavita Alizé Jenkins.
Yeah.
Right. They had those, like it was a dynamic where there was love there. There were co-workers,
Mm-hmm.
but in a sense, I feel like they were also sisters. The way that they showed up for one another in those tough moments and those happy moments, I admire that. But most importantly, I would say living social, right? The way that they would stick up for one another, hold each other accountable, but also encourage one another with, sometimes some of them were on Khadijah's payroll for free. Right? Or, some of them were, warding off Regine's crazy dates.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Reliving Single is one of those shows that really emphasizes sisterhood for me. I would say a show, and I know this you did not access, but a show that I feel like I would not want that friendship would be Martin. Because I feel like
Gina.
Gina let Martin disrespect Pam. It went beyond just the kiki and haha. Maybe it's because I'm looking at it with a different lens now, but I feel like the back and forth it just went on too deep and it was went on for too long. And again, going back to that managing relationships and friendships, I feel like another thing is I would never let my friends disrespect my partner, and I would never let my partner disrespect my friends.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you said three different things, so I'm gonna respond back to them. But first, I wanted to say shout out to girlfriends because it's at the 25th anniversary. I think
Oh,
it's the
it's been
25th.
25 years.
Yes, I think 25. Yeah, yeah, 2000. It came out in 2000. So I just want to say shout out to the girlfriends. Okay. Yeah, it's been 25 years. They did like a little picture thing, like a reunion, mini reunion. They had like
Hmm.
social media. So I did see that. I did like girlfriends. You said Living Single. Living Single was definitely great. I watched all the seasons one time. And so it was just kind of funny and it was kind of interesting to see like Maxine's like strong personality, mixed with
Hmm.
Regine. And then you had Sinclair. They were like she's like the Issa Rae said she was like the first awkward girl. So,
Hmm.
and then Khadijah. But I did like how they did support each other. They came, they did everything, even though Regine was gonna say something crazy, child, or Maxine didn't care, was gonna walk into the house. Like they still had that level of love and support for each other. So I
Hmm.
definitely like that you said living single. Oh, you can't really see. Oh yeah, can you see my background? A living single's on the wall. Yeah.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay,
Yes,
I see
living
it now.
single on
That's
the
dope. I like
yes,
that.
yes. And if I'm not mistaken, Yvette Lee Browser, the one who wrote the creator, she's on there too. Yeah. Have a little content wall, but yeah.
That's
Cause
me. I like
yeah.
that. It's very intentional.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, my podcast is about like talking about Black women led TV shows. So that's why I always throw that up in there when I talk. And then you said the Steve Harvey show. That is actually on Netflix now. I was trying to watch it. I think it's on Netflix. So I haven't watched all of it, but I'm familiar with the Steve Harvey show.
Hmm.
And I do know the characters that you're talking about, but I don't know too much about it because I just watched it bits and pieces. But
Yeah.
I can see that. But Tasha Mack from the game was on Steve Harvey, correct?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
So she
love
was
the
on the Steve
game.
Harvey show first, and then the
Yes, and then she was the
game
game. So I know
came
her
along. Yeah.
because I know her because of the game. So I didn't get to watch
Hmm.
all Steve Harvey, but I watched the game. So yeah. I liked actually, well, they were kind of mean, I don't know. I liked the three, Tasha, Kelly, and Mel,
Hmm.
but it was a little, a little toxic hateration there. So
Yeah.
we don't talk about that one. But Martin, I would say that I haven't watched it back. As in like a new lens. I kind of just watched it in college and I was just laughing. Like I do get the banter and it's just like, oh,
Hmm.
it's kind of funny. Pam will be saying some crazy stuff too. So I didn't really look at it as like, oh my gosh. Like I didn't look at it as like disrespectful or not. But Martin did say some off the wall stuff. But
Hmm.
also kind of I feel like Gina was kind of in the hard place because she's like, well, this is my man, this is my friend. Okay, like,
Right.
he's a jokester, he's a comedian. Then Tommy would say something. So I feel like they just all had like this type of
Mm-hmm.
banter thing. And when you think about it, kind of that is usually kind of how family is or whatever. Like they just be
Mm-hmm.
saying crazy things, or people just be saying crazy stuff and they don't know. So I would have to look at it as a different lens. But I did like Pam and Gina together because I feel like they had their back. Pam, Gina would do something crazy. Pam would be like, okay, girl, but like they would still, get down and do
Right.
that. And honestly, in real life, it's so cool that they're still like really friends. So I really do like
Mm-hmm.
that. How they had a really like good friendship. So that was a good one too. I wouldn't even thought about Martin, honestly. But yeah, I had Harlem on there. Did you watch Harlem or did you watch Insecure?
I loved Harlem, and I felt some type of way when they stopped filming
Me
Harlem.
too.
But I loved Harlem, right? And Harlem made me yearn for that core group of friends. Because while
Yes.
I do have friends and I do have sisters, I don't have that core group, right? It's like
Yes.
one of them and I. It's never like a core group of us. But
Mm-hmm.
Harlem, I related to Quinn's character the most just because of her family dynamics.
Uh-huh.
She had a very nice apartment. She let people live with her. I've done that too.
What's your friends name
um,
with you?
Lungs, I would not do that again. But I related to Quinn's character the most because she was so ambitious and she had a very supportive family, even if they were a little bit overbearing at
Yeah.
times, right? She knew that they loved her. But the way that she would show up for her friends, I admire that. Even when she started to like do some soul searching and find out who she really was, I love that. I
Mm-hmm.
loved all of their characters. I feel like the show was very well written.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would just love to see another network pick it up, for more seasons. But I loved Harlem. And another, and this is a book, but the Skyland series from author Kennedy Ryan,
Oh, I'm
loved it.
familiar with Cindy Ryan, but I haven't heard of the series. This about friendship?
It's deeply rooted in friendship
Mhm.
and village. The last book, I don't recall the title of it, but it really showed me like, wow, this is what it's like to have a true village. And
Mhm.
it led me to seeking out a similar village through a church and found it. So
Yeah.
it's art can imitate life, and
Mhm.
so yeah.
I didn't see that one, but speaking about church, I was like, when I used to live in Atlanta, and I was
Uh-huh.
like, it was so sad because when I lived in Atlanta, it was really very hard to find community. Then I ended up going to this church, and I was like, I started going there. Then I ended up moving. I was like, are you kidding me? Right? Because I feel like church can bring that sense of community, and it's like
Hmm.
hard, definitely in Atlanta, looking for a church home and different things like that. And I feel like it's kind of hard to figure that out and navigate that issue
Hmm.
with trying to build. And so you do kind of look for at your coworkers as friends. And that's what I was going to say. When you started talking about the Steve Harvey show, it was like from friendship to sisterhood. And it's like, that's why I don't really subscribe to like, you can't have friends at work, because I'm like,
Hmm.
that's mainly where you're going to find your friends. If you're moving to new cities and different things like that, it's like, you're only going to find friends in your proximity. So it's like, I mean, of course,
Hmm.
if the person is good and like, nothing crazy or whatever. But it's like, I don't subscribe to not being friends with your coworkers. Just kind of be careful, I should say, because I've
Right.
talked to my coworkers, I've hung out with them and stuff like that. And now that I started a new job, I've noticed the difference. Is like my coworker, like I don't want to say I'm not friendly with my coworkers, but me and my coworkers, like we're not as cool as like I worked at a different job, and I'm like that kind of affects your
Hmm.
like working environment, right? But then also it's like if you're in a new city, it kind of affects like, well, dang, like I'm trying to make friends, I'm trying to hang out with people, and it's kind of like hard to
Hmm.
navigate that space. And so I was just going to be like, do you before you I guess you had all of your friends, hanging out, different things like that. Um, did you feel, I guess I would say, lonely because you didn't have that like core group of friends, or did you kind of always have like, a 1-2 friend or a friend where you didn't really have to feel like you were lonely in the city?
So there have been some bouts of loneliness, right? And usually that meant I was trying to fill everybody else's cup and not my own, and probably
Mm,
trying to hold them to a standard that they didn't know existed. So whenever those like bouts of loneliness would come, I'm like, well, what can I do for myself? What do I need to hear right now? Right? It goes back to like affirming yourself.
mhm.
But there's no level of affirming yourself that will absolutely completely replace friendships. But I would say that, thinking back, just honoring and I wouldn't say honor. Honor is such a like a big word in a sense, but just kind of like if you are consistent and diligent with maintaining your friendships, then
Mhm.
you wouldn't really have that period of loneliness, right? Like one friend that has a young toddler, our conversations are going to look different. It might look like it might take us 1 week to have a whole conversation because we're sending voice notes and she's got to listen to them. She can't interrupt Peppa Pig to listen to my voice note, right? So that might be something that she sends in the middle of the night. And then I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm going to auto schedule that message for maybe 9 or 10 a.m. She might be in the office. The conversation will continue over a few
Mhm.
days.
Mhm.
But I would say that there have been some bouts of loneliness over the years, more
Mhm.
so from just like that proximity, right? Because I work fully remote now. So
Yes.
at times I'm like, oh wow, like I haven't seen anybody besides my fiance in like
Yes.
3 to 4 weeks, unless I'm seeing
Mhm.
people in the store. But I would say that whenever you start to feel lonely, look from within. Look from within. But also, that could be a time when it's okay to reach out and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. What I've learned is that when we keep something on the calendar with my friendships, it gives us something to look forward to. So
Mhm.
I already know we went to Paladin Row in September and we said we're coming back in October because there was so much good food that we didn't try. So automatically I know, hey girl, we're about halfway through September. What is your October looking like? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Oh, hey, I'm thinking about having a Friendsgiving in this day. Let me put it on your calendar before your calendar gets booked up.
Mhm.
Keeping something to look forward to.
Yes, it's
I mean,
all intentional. That's
uh-huh.
intentional. I was thinking about that like I don't even know, like a year or two ago. I was like, baby, being an adult is so boring. Not
Mm-hmm.
it's like boring, but it's like so much freedom. But it's like you don't have anything to look forward to unless because like when
Mm-hmm.
you're in high school, you're like, I'm about to graduate, I'm about to graduate, I'm about to go to college. I'm about to graduate, I'm about to get a job. But then it's like the stuff gets so mundane. Mundane is just like I'm not looking for, I mean, I guess like, oh, I'm looking for a new job, but you don't know when you're going to get a new job. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know when you're going to get things or whatever. So I think even having things on the calendar, and even when you're lonely, like I did a lot of solo dating. Like when I was in grad school, like I would go to dinner by myself and different things like that to talk about like the filling up the cup so you're not lonely because loneliness
Mm-hmm.
is definitely hard, especially if like you're not in a relationship and like you're
Mm-hmm.
single, you don't really have friends. Because you were speaking about that like core group of friends, and I feel like in college I really had like a core group of friends, but graduating, moving on to school, I feel like it's really hard. And now that I don't have that core group of friends, it's kind of really hard
Mm-hmm.
to, really like navigate friendships and like hanging out with people, whatever. Of course, like, everybody's friends or whatever, but it's like that separate, like that one on one. So like, I got scheduled with this person, scheduled with that person. It's like
Mm-hmm.
easy if you could just, we could be Harlem child and just let's go to dinner together,
Because they always met at that little shop, right? And that's also the thing about having that core group of friends is that you can see everybody at once. Like I
Yes.
saw something about somebody was talking about, they told their friends, hey, I'm having office hours. I am going to be at this coffee shop between the hours of 10 and 2. Please drop by. I totally
Period.
legit because we're thinking about this economy here, right?
Okay.
Sometimes those, separate dinners with four friends can add up. Can add
Yes.
up. So I also think again being transparent because there was a time when I said, "Girl, I can't make it to that birthday dinner. I've had to turn down birthday trips 2 years in a row because of layoff and recovering from that layoff.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
how else can I show up for you? Can I send you a nice card in the mail? Because nobody's sending cards in the mail anymore. But I will, right? Can I send you a card in the mail?
Get a
Can I
little
put
birthday card.
together? Yeah.
I said, get a little birthday card like in the mail. Like,
Yeah. Can I
yeah.
can I do something else that is going to be inexpensive but show you that I care about your birthday, but I just can't make it out the country
Mhm.
with you this year, right? But yeah, it can add up,
Yeah.
and I have posted it one time before about not having that core group of somebody said, well, just start it. But there's that vulnerability of just putting yourself out there or bringing together groups of people who aren't familiar with one another too. I feel
Yeah.
like that there's a little bit of fear in that. But I definitely
Mhm.
think that you can create that group, but also everybody's not the like I have some friends like we might go to church, we might go to an estate sale, might not invite them to a winery. Might invite them to the winery. Might not invite them to a company event. You know.
See, that's why I feel like it's hard because I feel like I'm a well-rounded friend, and I'm like, I want
Yeah.
well-rounded friends. I want to be able to go to the wine. I go to the winery, even though I don't even drink. I would just still go for the experience. I go to church. I go to the club. I go to listen to
Hmm.
stay. Like I could do all these different things, and so I feel like, to your point, that's why I think that I kind of messed up too, because it's like I want a friend for everything, not like everything, but like that can do
Hmm.
like like a well-rounded. But it's like no, I got a friend like okay, if I want to go on this trip, or okay, if I want to go to the go read a book at Barnes and Noble, child, they
Hmm.
might not come like so I feel like that is so hard. But even this is a slight plug, but even in general, I hosted like moving out of my house for my
Hmm.
birthday because I just turned 30, and then I
Happy
had a
belated
birthday.
birthday.
Thank you. And then I had a birthday brunch, but I wanted to like go to dinner and everything like that. And my friend did, she was just like, yeah, I don't have like, she was like, I won't go to dinner with you, so I can go to brunch with you. So now I do try to, like keep in mind of everybody's pot because I was like, so I
Hmm.
don't want to ask you go here, go here, go here. Like that's a lot of money. So what I did, I was like, oh, instead of like, maybe asking my friends, maybe I could just host something. So I'm actually hosting like a black girls dinner, like to go to
Hmm.
dinner. And so I'm like, I'm putting it out there to people and people that I don't even know is actually like signing up to come to the dinner, which could be like really cool, because like, okay, you see me through the podcast, but like it could build friendships and you can kind of see what
Hmm.
like, and because it is a little pricey space that we're going. We're going to like a steakhouse spot, So I was like, hey, we
Right.
can do, like I said, I'm starting too high, child. I need to go to Cheddar's. Okay, I said it's gonna be one high, one low, baby, because the money and everything. And it's about to be like holiday season and stuff like that, right?
Hmm.
But I was just like, I want to do something like that. And I talked to my hairstylist literally yesterday. She was talking about how she hosts like dinners at her house all the time or whatever, but she has like a core group of friends. And I'm like, how did you find that? How are you meeting people and stuff like
Hmm.
that? Because on the back end of that, there was another TikTok video. This girl was like, she was trying to meet friends and hang out with people, but she was like, they were flaking, like, oh, I can't come. And it's okay, like, one or two times, but it's like, she
Hmm.
kept asking them, like, okay, like, do you want to meet up this time? And she was just saying that, like, people are flaking, like, they're not taking her time, in, like, into consideration. So I don't know if you have dealt with that before or if you
Hmm.
haven't. But if you did, like, how do you navigate that part?
I did. And the friendship ended over that
Okay.
because we had this tradition, where we would, have like a Galentine's thing, right? We had it for
Hmm.
maybe like 5 years. We would meet up sometime between February and March, right? Because of schedules and just
Hmm.
have a good Galentine's and like take turns picking the place. And then there was one year, and we lived at this point, we lived about 2 hours apart, right? And so I was an hour down the road, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to have to push your time back," and it was nearly like another hour and a half to 2 hours, and I was just like, "Hey, that's not going to work. Like
Yeah.
I'm, already pressed for time, and I've already driven an hour." And I think too is you have to respect people's time and people's
Yeah.
efforts. Unfortunately, that friendship ended, and I truly do wish her well. But you do have to respect people's time and people's
Mhm.
efforts. If I have a friend, like the other night, one of my friends and I, because I have a weird work schedule. I don't get off till 8 p.m. Right,
Oh,
and
okay.
so sometimes I'm off at 8 p.m. on the dot, and sometimes it's a little later. This happened to be the one time I said, "Girl, let's meet at 8:45. This place closed at 11." I didn't get off of work until 8:20. It wasn't until I got out the door at about 8:30. And of course I did that thing that we millennials do with I'll get gas, the next day and had to go by the gas. I ended up getting there like 9:10, right? And I had texted her along the way and she was like, okay, well, I'll wait to leave my house. And I was like, girl, I'm so sorry. I apologize about it. And it's a rare thing that I'm, showing up 25 minutes late, right? But I wanted to
Mhm.
show her that I respected her time, and
Yes.
that I did value, our quality time.
Mhm.
But again, giving grace, life happens. I can't just, sometimes it's 8 o'clock on the dot, and this happened to be the latest time that I'd ever gotten off. But she understood that,
Mhm.
So
I think
definitely.
that's oh, what are you
Mhm.
saying?
Oh, definitely being mindful of other people's time. If sometimes sometimes we are scheduling a call. Like it sounds so formal, but like the other day I was like, girl, I'm gonna call you. We're gonna talk at 7:30 on a Sunday. But I knew that, okay, I'm gonna call her right at 7:30 and we're gonna have a good 30-minute conversation. And then it might be another, couple weeks before we have another conversation. But I
Mhm.
want to honor her time because I know that she's a wife, she's a mother, she's
Yeah.
working. So
Mhm.
honor, respect people's time. But I do see so many stories of people flaking on others or not showing up at the last minute. And again, it goes back to people don't want to be inconvenienced. Everybody wants to be a village, wants the village without putting in the work or the time or the effort to be a villager. You have to show up for people. And it's okay if you can't make the trip out of the country for the birthday
Mhm.
or the steakhouse dinner, right? But can that steakhouse dinner go into, hey girl, I can't do that steakhouse dinner, but hey, it's this cute coffee shop that I just discovered, or let's go to my favorite coffee shop, right? It's still going to give you that intentional quality time. It's still going to be something that might be more respectful of somebody's budget. Or
Mhm.
I've had a friend where I'm like, hey girl, I will cook. I'm gonna make us some shrimp and grits. We're gonna
Mhm.
save our $40 and I'll 20% automatic gratuity and our $25 valet parking. And I'm gonna make you some shrimp and grits at home. This is gonna taste much
Yeah.
better anyway.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's something that you said too earlier, talking about that remote working, and I feel like that's me too now because I do work like hybrid. But it's like sometimes it's boring to be in the house, so I do go to coffee shops, and like sometimes I'm like,
Hmm.
hey, like that's my way of like saying, hey, you want to come into the coffee shop? Like let's spend some time together. But I feel like working from home a lot, you kind of do miss that interaction. So it's like, okay, I'm looking
Hmm.
to do stuff in the weekend, stuff like that. But then it's like a lot of my friends they work with people, so then it's like,
Hmm.
okay, you try to balance that and you don't really, know how to balance that. And so
Hmm.
when I seen that about the friendships, I'm like, sometimes you like you can only put out so much effort, and I feel like
Hmm.
some people don't always respect people's time, and so then it kind of gets annoying. It's like, okay, I said you're gonna meet me here, you're gonna meet me there, and then like you're always canceling on me,
Hmm.
But definitely, people do have things that happen in life where you can't always do something, or like in your thing, it's like it's not a part of your character to be late. So of course, she's going to like give you grace because like that's literally your job. Like you
Hmm.
you got to pay your bills. So I feel like that kind of thing gets really, big, and like friendship or whatever, just is a lot on TikTok about it. So I just wanted to kind of bring that conversation in to see, if it has happened to you or if not. As we wrap it up though, do you have anything else that you would like to say about friendship? Do you feel like we missed anything in regards to friendship?
Sure.
Um,
I just want to close with this. Be the friend that you always wanted.
mhm,
And if you understand that romantic relationships, no, friendships are equally as important as romantic relationships. And a lot of times they can mirror each
mhm,
other, right? Somebody that fails to maintain romantic relationships might also fail to maintain successful or fruitful
mhm,
friendships, right?
mhm.
Because there are times when I send my friends don't have to worry about a good morning message from somebody's son because they might get one from me. You know what I'm saying? And even if I don't get one from my fiance because we woke up at this
Yeah.
together, I'm gonna still get one from my friends or a message at the beginning of September.
Mhm,
There's just so many different ways that we can nurture and grow our friendships so that they reach the level of sisterhood. It's just about again being intentional, holding each other accountable, and giving
mhm.
grace when necessary.
Oh, thanks, Kiwanza. This is so good. You actually now you brought up two more things that I wanted to ask you because I was like, you said be the friend who you want to be, and I do remember you because I do remember talking to you because you were like, well, just send a good morning text message or whatever. I remember you saying that because I was like, I'm a texter friend, so no, I'm not a texter friend. My friends love to text, but it's
Hmm.
like it's so hard because with me, when you say like be the friend you want to be, I feel like I am that friend that I want people to be, but then I feel like it's not reciprocated on the
Hmm.
end. But then like it's like you can't really hold people to a certain standard. Like I like to talk on the phone. I hate texting. Honestly, like
Hmm.
I'm always type on the computer. Like like I want to talk. Like I want human interaction. Don't want to sound crazy, but I'm like I'm typing to a computer. Like at the end of the day, like
Hmm.
I want to hear. I want that human interaction. Going back to like me working remotely. I don't talk to my coworkers because I'm working from home, right? So I like to talk on the phone. I like to like hang out and see people. But like so many of my friends, they're like, okay, I want to text. I want to text. I want. I be like,
Hmm.
child, texting, child, my fingers, and they're gonna be having arthritis. But like that's the conversation.
Yeah. And see, I'm on the opposite side of that because I work from home in the environment that I work in. I talk to people throughout the day. So at any given day, I could talk to 40 people. So when I get off of work,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't want to talk to anybody. I'm texting my mom, my grandma, love y'all, talk to y'all tomorrow, right? But also
Mhm.
understanding that if that friend said, hey, girl, is this happened at work today? I need to tell you, I'm just going to suck it up for about
Yeah.
at least 30 minutes to hear her out to what she has to say, right? But
Mhm.
understanding she also knows, like, hey, maybe this is a conversation we if it can wait till the next morning, that's great.
Mhm.
But also it just depends. You again, you said that you're the friend that loves to, perhaps like talk on the phone. Maybe that looks like, hey, let's have a FaceTime day. Let's have a midweek FaceTime catch up. You get some coffee, I get some coffee, or you get some juice, I get some juice, or some non-alcoholic wine or whatever, but just make it intentional. I've had it where, a friend has gotten dinner in their way, I've gotten dinner my way, and we just sat and we chatted one with one another while we ate.
I would literally do that, but my friends don't like to FaceTime. I'm like, I got an iPhone to FaceTime. Like all I
Oh
want to do
wow.
is text. Yeah. And so, but to that point, it's like inconvenience. And I'm like, some of my friends do, like, I talk to my friend or whatever. Like people are busy and stuff like that. But I'm like, I try to talk to my friend. I'm like, okay, I know I know they don't like talking on the phone, but I don't know people taking consideration. Like they know, like, I don't care to text. So that's what I'm saying. Like
Mhm.
that same consideration is there or not. I don't know if it's there or not. And everybody that I talk to, I'd be like, y'all, even in dating, dudes be like, "Oh, I'm a big time texter." What are we texting about? Like, why
Yeah, I
texting?
think when you're trying to get to know someone and dating, texting is a lazy way out.
It's literally is. It literally is. I'm like, why did you get on this app to just text me all day? Like, I literally nobody calls nobody, and so I'm like, I see that
Mhm.
in that in friendships. And to your point, though, I'm on the opposite side of the remote work because I was working remotely where I was an academic advisor. Whew. Now, when I had the meetings back to back, I didn't want to talk. Child, I was like, I'm going
Mhm.
home clean. But I'm on the opposite side where I don't have meetings back to back. I do a lot of typing and like looking at the computer. So I try to stay off the computer and just like try to, they say touch grass, like go to the gym, go walk, and like
Mhm.
I try to get out and do things so that I can kind of cultivate that community. And so I feel like that is kind of the hard way because now we're getting older. People are like, okay, we're in our ways, we're at home, we're chilling, we're at home. But I'm like, I'm not a homebody, and it's like I work at home already, so I don't
Mhm.
always want to be at home. And so I feel like that's kind of hard. And trying to find those type of friendships are also hard too as well.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm stuck between a hard place and a rock. So I don't know. That's just me. But but I did want to ask you, this is a question I want to ask you. Do you feel like you are a high maintenance or low maintenance friend?
Uh, I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm a high maintenance
Yeah.
friend, right? But I also give my friends high maintenance attention. I'm listening to 42 minutes of voice notes before I go to bed, taking notes on my tablet so that I could respond to each point. So, that is someone who's a high maintenance friend, right? And I'm being responsive to that. But I wouldn't even maybe I'm somewhere in the middle, right? Because I don't have to talk to you every single day. And again, I've got a friend who I've never met, you
Yeah.
know so I would say I'm somewhere in the medium maintenance, but because I do value my friendships, I'm not like I can't. There's so many cancellations. I begin to look at you as if you're unreliable.
Yeah.
After so many missed messages and ignored calls, I'm like, hey, let me step back, and that's okay. So I would say I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm somewhere in the middle for sure. But I just like my efforts to be reciprocated.
Yes, that is what I was going to say too. I know. I think I'm a high maintenance friend. Someone was like, I'm not high, I'm not low maintenance in anything. Why would I be low maintenance in friendship?" I said, "Oop, period."
Yeah, that's true because when you it almost it mirror again, friendships and relationships can mirror each other, right? It's that low maintenance thing. It's almost like, but why were your needs ignored as a child and you feel like, well, if I don't ask for much, then they won't have to give me much, and then you think you don't
Mhm.
deserve much.
Yeah.
No, I got the moon and the stars then. I'm gonna get the moon and the stars now. I'm forever gonna get the moon and the stars. And
Yeah.
while that might look different in throughout various seasons of my life, I think it's okay to be high maintenance in friendships and
Hmm.
relationships because it
Yes.
teaches people how to treat you. You're
Yes.
not gonna call me on the first and then we have a good 30-minute conversation and it's the first of August and I don't hear from you again until January 1st.
I'm like, I don't understand. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry. To me, I'm like, you're an acquaintance. Like people be like, I can talk to my friend 1 year and then 2 years later we can catch up. Huh? How can you catch up over
Mm-mm.
700 more days? I
Yeah,
be like,
that's yeah,
if
I
I
couldn't
don't
do
know what's
that.
going if I don't know what's going on in your life, we're not friends. And like
Hmm.
I don't talk about that much, but I'm like, why would I talk to you every 5 to 6? That's not friendship to me.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
maybe it's because I value friendship, and I don't feel like people value friendships the way they value romantic
Hmm.
relationships. And also, I would say that I do value friendships because I am the only girl. Like I well, I'm not talking to my brothers about what's going on Love and Hip Hop. Well, I don't even watch it, but just just I
Mm-hmm.
can't talk to my brothers about Harlem. I can't talk to my brothers about college. Like I'm like I value friendship, so I'm like I am probably a high maintenance friend. Like I want to hang out, I want to go here, I want to do things. Like I'm just not this person that just wants to like be by myself or whatever. But like I never understood that. Like oh yeah, we can go 4 months or 5 months. Like okay, a couple weeks without talking to each other, whatever. 4 or 5 months. Maybe. It's been. I probably got a new job. I don't have to go off on this man. Like I don't watch a new show. Like there's so many
Right.
things that happen, and that like that never sat well with me. Like oh, I only talk to my friend once a year. I'm like, huh? That's
Yeah,
how you
I can't do
communicate.
that. Consistency is key. Like what you can't water something once a year and expect it to grow. I don't know of any plant that only needs watering once a year. And if we're not growing, then we're stagnant. And why would I want a stagnant friend?
Oh my gosh, you should do a video about that. About you don't plant. Well, you don't put water in flowers once a year. Why would you only talk to your friend
Mm-hmm.
once a year?
Exactly.
Like that
Exactly.
it does not correlate. And I'm so glad that we're on the same page because I never understood that. I'm like, that's not friendship to me. Like you're an acquaintance. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
like me seeing somebody on Instagram that I went to college with. That's an acquaintance. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to you, I'm liking your stuff. Like, oh, cute outfit. Like I when she posts is when I see it. That's acquaintance to me. That's not
Mm-hmm.
friendship. And I feel like sometimes people don't know what friendship is or they don't know how to define it. But it's like, yeah. And I was like, I feel like I poured into this one of my friends. Like, I feel like we're not even friends anymore because I'm like, I feel like I poured into you so much and you didn't even pour into me at all. Like, maybe
Mm-hmm.
a couple times, but I'm like, I can't keep pouring into you and I'm not getting anything back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work that way. So I really like that. Like, baby, if you ain't pouring into me, baby, it ain't gonna grow.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, I'm a flower. I'm a flower. You're not pouring into me, and then it's not gonna grow. So yeah, like I never understood that. I was just like, that doesn't make any sense to me about like
Mm-hmm.
how you only talk to your friend once a year. I don't know. I don't subscribe to that. We subscribe to growing friendships. We subscribe to valuing friendships and the importance of
Absolutely.
friendships. So I'm glad that we're on the same page about that. But yeah, I want to thank you so much for coming on. I want to thank you for sharing, your time with me. I very much appreciate it. Thank everybody who came on the live. If you did not like it, make sure you like it. Okay. And I will also be going live tomorrow to interview a reality TV star about her experience. So, if you subscribe, you will see that. Check that out. But I want to, let everybody know where they can find you at, know what you have going on as well too before we end it.
Sure. So I am on all platforms at Janitha Danielle. That's also the name of my website. I do have an active and well maintained blog.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm on Instagram. I am on TikTok talking about all things beauty, lifestyle,
Mhm.
where am I walking, the park I just discovered, my favorite lipsticks, my favorite foundations, just all things beauty and lifestyle. And
Yeah.
wellness. That's
Wellness.
that's where you can
Okay.
find me.
You still blog? Like you still write blogs?
Yeah, I haven't written one in a couple of months, but I have a draft of one that I will be writing about my GLP-1 journey actually because I've had a lot of people ask about that. And I
Oh,
wanted to live I wanted to live somewhere, you know.
mhm,
And so for me it's important to kind of like own what I can about myself
mhm.
because we don't own these platforms.
Yeah, we don't. We don't. No.
Right. And we have to, my goal is to always direct people to, oh, you want to know about my solo trip to Aruba? It's on the blog. You can bookmark it, screenshot certain pieces of it, always reference it because it's going to get buried in the
Yeah.
sea of social media. So, yeah.
Mhm. I have a couple ideas. Actually, I was in November. I was thinking about talking about solo trips. I should bring you on for that too. Okay, I got a couple ideas I might have to reach back out to you for. But I have a blog too. It's called Alicia's Adventures, and I went to look the other day to see the last time I posted 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I need to bring the blog back because I
Yeah.
need to get it writing because like I'm paying for that, but I'm like, I do not use it. But podcasting, YouTube, like it takes over so much. It's like writing
Hmm.
just like, woo,
Yeah.
it's
It's hard to make time because it is less time consuming to create video content on the
yes.
front end. The back end is editing. Right.
Okay. Yes.
But I also feel like if we utilize the resources, AI, ChatGPT, GPT, I like to get my brainstorming done there, get the outline going, and then I go in and I fill it in, right? I'm like, what
Mhm.
kind of questions for my GLP-1 wellness series? What kind of questions might someone have? What might they want to know? You know what I'm saying? Like, if they're nervous about it, what might they want to like? What might they want to know? And it helps. So utilize the resources that you have, but definitely revive it, and especially with what Tracy Ellis Ross show
Mhm.
about solo traveling. I feel like people want to see more women going out there and living life.
Yeah.
And we need
Yeah,
to
I did
see it.
watch
We
her.
need to see it. We need to see you, having your adventures and going out there
Mhm.
and living life. I think that, as these young girls, and they're logging online and so many things are being pushed at them. You don't look this way. You don't talk this way. You don't
Mhm.
act this way. They need to see people who look like them so that they know what to aspire to do. They need to see us living life. They need to see us dancing across the kitchen floor. You know what I'm saying? They need to see us taking care of our health. They need to see us, having these jobs or being loved on
Mhm.
properly. Yeah.
Yeah, I just did a solo trip to Tulsa, Oklahoma, actually for Labor Day weekend. So I actually have that vlog out. I have it's edited. Actually, I have it. I just have to post it on YouTube, and that's a whole nother
Uh-huh.
story. But but yeah, so that is. So I do remember you about doing the solo traveling, and you're into your wellness journey. So that's really really good. I was gonna say your TikTok is popping now. You be on. You like TikTok?
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's been a little stagnant, but I'm trying to get it to grow. I've been trying to leaning into showing more of my personality. Like I'm always dancing across the kitchen floor to some song
Hmm.
or rapping some song. So just trying to show more of my personality, but also remembering, what the ultimate goal is, right? And that is for it to become full time.
Okay.
But also being mindful of what I consume as well on that
Hmm.
app, because for a while it was so much content on how to get them in, how to get them in. I'm like, whoa, let's talk about something else.
That's all that be on. I'm like, I have to take a break though. It's so much TikTok trauma, like trauma dumping about
Yeah.
relationships with men. That's why I was like, I want to just show me going on dates, like having fun, like, oh, outfit of the night. This is what I go on. This is what I'm
Hmm.
doing. This is where I'm going. Because there was so much going on. I was,
Yeah, yeah. It,
I,
it, it sometimes it feels like a place where people just share their traumas because they want someone else to do a trauma bond with.
yeah,
And so you have to be super mindful. I'll hit not interested very quickly on that.
yeah.
I show me I know that life is life, right? And there's going to be good times and bad times, times in between. But I'm mindful about what I put out because my nieces follow me on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to see me getting dolled up and going to a nice restaurant or just kicking it with a friend or the way that I love myself, affirm myself. I want them to see those things. So yeah,
So
that's
your
that's all
content
I
is
have.
for younger girls to be able to
Hmm.
look up and to see. Okay, I could definitely see that with the wellness and beauty. I was like, I wish I was a beauty girl. I am really not a beauty girl, but I'm definitely wellness. I like the travel and stuff like that. But yeah, I
Hmm.
definitely do see it. And it's so funny because I'm about to have a movie night. Then I was like, why don't I just do a solo movie night? And
Hmm.
then I was like, I'm about to have a host a solo movie night. Then I seen your TikTok video of like how you was dancing. And I said, look, I can have like my own. I was like, I'm gonna have my own dinner date, like solo thing in
Hmm.
my house to kind of show because I feel like on my thing, like people really get bogged down in on like not being in a relationship, being single, not having fun. I'm like, I want to show women that like it's just a season that you're single, like you can embrace it. You
Hmm.
have freedom, you have joy, like do what you want to do. So like my goal is kind of trying to lean into that like solo living, like you can literally have
Hmm.
a whole life being single, like
Yeah,
one day
absolutely.
have a get kids, like it's okay to just enjoy your time, to have to do
Hmm.
the solo traveling, to do that's why I'm having a movie night by myself, to cook some dinner, to have fun, like to pour into yourself. And that's kind of what I want to show women
Hmm.
on my platform. I haven't really started it, but I'm gonna figure it out though. But but yes, anyways, follow us. You can follow me on TikTok at Life with Leisha. You can follow Janitha on TikTok too at Janitha Danielle and Instagram.
Yes.
And Instagram. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I know we kind of went on a tangent. I'm so sorry about that. But thank y'all so much. Like this, share this, and I will see you all tomorrow. I'll see you all on Wednesday when the next episode comes out. Bye.